Hey guys, they didn't notify me that they were starting, so we're just gonna get right to it. But this is the first edition. It is a live narration of Callous Fight Night. Posse G on the bottom, Marco P on the top. Welcome and joining. Thank you for joining me. So, Posse has Metagross 40 here. This is a live narration, so obviously not a replay. I don't know how this is going to play out any more than you guys do. And we've got Zapdos Skarm going topside. One layer of spikes for both guys. Charizard for Posse G. Comes in on Drill Peck, 33%. And it's going to be responded to with a Coon. Flamethrower of note instead of Fire Blast here. Celebi into Coon, that makes sense to me, but it's a switch back to Zapdos. So both players with it looks like a mid-range to offensive Spikes team. I don't know, I mean, Fori's a spinner, kind of, sort of-ish, and I don't know that Marco's going to have a spinner. He might. It could still be a defensive team. He could still have, like, Gar, Bliss, or something like that in the back. Drill Peck Spikes, so Spikes advantage for Posse G. Man, I wish they had given me a little more heads up on when they were going to start, because then I would explain the base structure to you guys of this, but maybe I could do that in between turns. Right now they're playing at a quick pace, and the game has been relatively straightforward. Doll came in for Posse, so he actually brought a proper spinner in addition to the Fortress, so the Spikes advantage is overwhelmingly with Posse right now. But anyhow, the base concept here is whoever wins here is the Callous Fight Night champion, and then I'm going to randomly draw another person on this exact stream, actually, on this exact recording. I'm going to randomly draw the challenger to face whoever wins next week, because whoever wins is going to return as the champ. And in theory, the same person could win several weeks in a row and just keep going and going and going. And that'll be like a little mini game that we have going on in our Discord to see who it is that can get the longest streak, who can be the longest reigning champion, blah, blah, blah. This is just a best of one, so there's obviously a potential luck factor. But thus far, neither guy has gotten too boned by anything, you know, a freeze or a huge crit or anything like that. So both players have a doll, so no spikes for either guy. I would say it's unlikely that Posse's last poke is a Gengar. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, a water or a sweeper, perhaps. And then could Marco, that's take a fat mook, that's Marco P, could his last poke be Gengar? I don't know. Looking at it now, I would say probably not. Yeah, so I think both guys are free to do their thing with their spinners. There was a critical hit there for Posse. We've only seen Meteor Mash here, but he's got lefties, so we know that he obviously isn't banded. We could have known that from the damage as well. So really we're just trying to see here, is it mixed? Is it agility? Yeah, it's only shown Meteor Mash over and over again. Zapdos comes in. There's another Meteor Mash, 33%. He hasn't found an attack raise on any of these. See if Zapdos scares him out. Claydol here is a fairly obvious switch, but that could get hidden powered on the way in. That could get roared. Interesting that he stays in to take it. Claydol would have come in for free on the Thunderbolt there. I guess he was playing around one of those moves that I mentioned. Protect meta. Okay, so it is a bulky Metagross set for Posse G, and Zapdos did in fact go for Thunderbolt again. Of note, there is no sand in play for either guy, so the pokes, the bulky things, the Coon, potentially the Zapdos, the Celebi, are all getting lefties where they might not normally, and there is the Roar. I don't know if Fori has spin or not. It's shown Light Screen, which Fori almost never has in Spikes. Claydol is obviously a spinner. It just would have been anyway, even if we hadn't seen it already, but we have. And here comes Skarm, and there is the Rapid Spin. So again, we have no spikes for either guy, but the thing is, Skarm sits here and lefties up pretty safely. He's taking only 9% from Psychic, getting 6 back from lefties. However, he gets an immediate Specs drop, which actually makes that a little bit less exciting for him. And Marco goes for Protect. Posse capitalizes on the Protect by getting Charizard in, and he subs on the subsequent Protect turn. That puts Marco in a bad spot. Goes to Coon, immediately met by Hidden Power, but Coon is very bulky here because there's no sand in play. but of course Charizard sticks it out. Coon has only killed the one sleep turn, but he finds Surf in his sleep here. If you're Posse, do you risk it and go Hidden Power again? I think a lot of players would, but he did not. And, wow, great discipline. He would have gotten hit with the 1 and 3 Surf, and it would have been bad. So Posse dodges the bullet there with his conservative play. Goes Recover and Rest respectively. We've seen the full set for Celebi here, as you see on the screen. Leech Seed, Combine, Psychic, Recover. Couldn't actually touch a T-Tar, which maybe means that his last poke is Dugtrio in the back. But Marco's poke may not be T-Tar. We still don't know his last poke either. They're both going to grind it out here. This seems favorable for Posse, in my opinion. Leech Seed here is just super good, which he's going to go for now. And then Celebi's not threatened by Surf, which is the only attacking move the Coon has. Psychic does do a decent chunk to the Coon. I think Celebi wins that all day. But he still gets out of the way. And the switch results in Charizard on Celebi, so Posse G ahead. It feels to me like Posse is just a little bit ahead overall in this game, in my opinion. So for Marco, Celebi just shows its first move right now, Calm Mind. But there's a surprise move for Posse in the back. He's got Overheat in addition to the Flamethrower that he was showing. So what an interesting set. So he's got Sub, Flamethrower, Hidden Power, which would lead you to believe, because by far the most common last move in that spot is Focus Punch, and that's exactly why Marco stayed in there. He felt safe to do so, but it's actually a really tricky, sneaky set, because in fact, the last move is Overheat, as opposed to Focus Punch, which gets the kill on Celebi, where Flamethrower would not have. So that was really techy and tricky for Posse G, and he's rewarded with not only a kill, but presumably a valuable kill. Celebi is a poke that you do not want to lose. Valuable poke to any ADV team that it's on. So for sure, if Posse wasn't ahead before, he's ahead now. However, he's going to get his Celebi caught by a previously unknown Dugtrio, and that is going to catch Marco right up. He sneaks it in at the exact right time. Dugtrio comes in exactly when Celebi does, thanks to a great anticipation play from Marco, and then obviously he goes for the Hidden Power, which is Bug. He'll survive the Crackback Psychic, does only 66%, and then obviously Celebi is not going to live another HP Bug. So we've got ourselves a 5-5, but now Charizard is going to get a free substitute off again, and Charizard looks quite dangerous here. The Coon doesn't like the Hidden Power Grasses. Obviously the Skarm is not going to beat Charizard. Claydol, 64%, iffy against the HP Grasses. Zapdos, 49%. Wow. Charizard looks really dangerous now. I don't know what I would do if I were in Marco's shoes. Let's see, the Coon, you might just have to go to the Coon, which is in itself not great, but I just don't see a lot of fantastic choices here. I think Coon is the only play. It's awake, it's at 77%, it's going to get lefties. Not sure what else you do. I mean, where does going to Claydol get you? Where does going to Zapdos get you? Yeah, he agrees. He goes to Coon. I'm not sure what Posse was thinking there. Posse goes to Claydol as opposed to simply subbing or attacking. I'm not sure what he thought was going to come in there. Was he trying to play around the Zapdos? And interesting, he goes for Boom here, which Marco anticipates and goes to Skarm. I'm not clear on what the thought process was there. Maybe Posse can explain it later, but he goes for Boom, hits the Skarm. I don't know why the Claydol came in at all. I don't know why he didn't just stick it out with Charizard and either just go straight Hidden Power Grass if he was confident about the Coon, or if he maybe just subs to be safe. I mean, we know the Coon doesn't have Roar. It's Calm Mind, Rest Talk, Surf. Interesting. I'm not clear on why Posse did that, and I don't know that I love it or agree with it, but we'll see how it plays out. Flamethrower here gets a burn, which we know the Coon can rest away, but it is annoying in the meantime. It's residual damage, and it may force a premature rest. And in fact, that's what happens. Marco now has no chance to stay in and threaten a Surf. He has to immediately rest, and that's what happens. So there's one layer down beneath Posse's team. Marco finds Calm Mind in his sleep, which is ideal, but he still switches out before he sets up Light Screen. Now Marco is clearly ahead. I liked Posse's position before, but I definitely think Marco has the advantage now. Also because that Boom on Skarm looks like it's ultimately going to do little to nothing because the Skarm is very successfully gaining lefties back here. He's already back up to 28%. He's got Protect, can gain even more. It looks very much like Marco has not only stabilized but taken the lead. Also, he's still able to remove the spikes beneath his team. Whether or not Posse can, I don't know. We've only seen Light Screen and spikes from Fori. Boom and Earthquake very well could be the last two moves, which would mean no Rapid Spin. We'll see how that plays out. Finally, we get a moment's break. They played pretty quickly up to this point, but we've got a little pause here, and they're both figuring out what it is that they want to do. Still unknown if the Metagross can meaningfully hurt the Skarm. You've got to think no, right? Because it's a Protect meta, which is a bulky meta, which is never mixed. It's not going to be a bulky Thunder Punch meta or a bulky HP Fire meta. That just doesn't make sense. It's got to be... It's probably just like Earthquake Boom as the last two moves, which means Skarm is relatively safe here. Obviously, attack raises can happen. Meteor Mash PP has got 9, which is not a ton, but it's a decent amount. But remember, every time he attacks the Zapdos or the Coon with pressure, it's actually going to cost him 2 PP, and Meteor Mash is not good against either of those Pokemon. So we see down here, we see that it is Marco who's doing the thinking. He's got plenty of time on his clock, but... it is, in fact, Marco that we're waiting on here. Unclear on what it is to do in this situation. Feels relatively straightforward, but Marco's still thinking about it. Is he afraid to protect in case the Charizard sneaks in on it? Is Marco simply debating whether you spike here, whether you protect here? I mean, even if he loses his Skarm, he's got the Dugtrio, but Dugtrio is not guaranteed to kill the meta if you let it lefties up enough, and it also has Protect, keep in mind, and it's bulkier than most. So, in theory, the Metagross at, say, I don't know, 85%, when the Dugtrio comes in, he could Protect, maybe even double Protect if he needs to, and then he theoretically could live the Dugtrio Earthquake, and things like that might be what Marco is calculating right now. He's taking a lot more time than I thought that he would in this situation. Marco taking 90 seconds here. A full minute and a half to figure out what to do in this situation. He's really thinking it over. I like Marco's position. I don't think he's... Oh, he's saying, yo, he's minus defense Skarm. Did he use the wrong... He might have clicked the wrong nature by mistake. That might be what he was calculating this whole time. It might be like, what the F? Why is my Skarm taking so much damage from a bulky Metagross? What is going on here? Marco may have accidentally clicked the wrong nature, and Posse teasing him about it, Marco being a good sport about it, but that would explain part of why it's taken more damage than Marco would have thought that it would. So it's still Marco on the clock here. He decides to stay in 21% from Meteor Mash. I don't know why Drill Peck's the play there. Is he just guaranteeing that I guess it's a catch-all. I guess he's guaranteeing that the Dugtrio will be able to finish it, and he's also putting pressure on the Charizard should it try to sneak in, which it did not. Posse here going to play the Protect game. He's probably just going to Protect, as many times as he can just to waste the Earthquake PP. But he's low enough to where Dugtrio is going to get him. So the result is a trade. That means that Marco on paper is still ahead, but I don't know how long that's going to last. The Charizard is very dangerous here. It is by far the biggest threat to Marco's team as it has been throughout the game, and we've got ourselves a 3-3. Coon here has killed one Sleep Turn. He's very healthy, and Charizard stays in to put the pressure on. There's 35%, and Calm Mind, good. One of the two things that he'd be happy to find here. Rest obviously being the thing he doesn't want to find. Hidden Power 23%. Posse says, I'll get it, presumably referring to a critical hit, which is what he's looking for here. And Marco's going to whiff on his follow-up Sleep Talk. There's Hidden Power and Awake. Surf there, very dangerous. +1 Surf could be very threatening to Charizard. I don't know if that's what he wants to take here. Now it's going to be on Posse to figure out what to do. We still don't know his last poke, and presumably neither does Marco, so that could change the dynamic in a big way. If it's something like a DD Mence or something like that, Posse says turn 69 is the lucky turn. I appreciate the pun. However, the crit doesn't come, and he's not going to show his last poke. So for Posse, it really is going to all come down to that, because we know that Fortress has no chance to sweep. So I think what he's really looking for here is like a DD Men's, a DD Tar, some kind of sweeper. That is not some kind of sweeper. Last poke, my Lotic, I believe, means that Posse's dead. I don't know how he could beat the Coon here with just my Lotic. I think the answer is he can't, and I think the answer is that Marco P is going to take this one down. This was a pretty good game, pretty back and forth. I really thought the last poke was going to be, yes, not my Lotic. I mean, a water made sense. I said that earlier on, but something more threatening, a Coon of his own with Calm Mind, or maybe even like a Curse Pert or something. But I mean, I get the Milo, but just it feels so awkward with Charizard. It's like half the team is really offense oriented. I mean, I guess just the Charizard really. But then the rest of it is like bulky meta, bulky Celebi, my Lotic Fori. It's really interesting. The Charizard, I'm not criticizing it because it did the most work of anything in this game for Posse G, but it's like the Charizard is completely opposite of what the rest of the team is trying to do. It's almost out of place. Nevertheless, this was a pretty good game, and I'm using it in past tense because it's over. Marco's going to win. There's no way that Marco doesn't win at this point. We're just going through the motions. It's funny that Posse says up here, I guess they had a deal, and they mentioned this earlier in the game. Imagine having a deal not to bring gay shit, and then end up with Skarmdoll versus Foridoll. Yeah, I mean, that's just competitive nature of players as in general, right? I mean, they make an agreement. I don't think either one was trying to be a slime ball, but I mean, they both just want to win. So, I mean, they don't bring, like, the gayest of the gay. They don't bring, like, Umbreon Perish Trap or some crap. But, yeah, I mean, beyond that, they still have their competitive nature. That's just how these guys are. And they're both trying to win. So, I mean, they both bring, you know, pretty real, pretty legit teams, I would say. Like I said, we're just going through the motions here. This is a grindy PP stall. Keep in mind that, I mean, Marco still just has the Zapdos in the back, and he has a Claydol that can live a Surf and then just blow up and then follow up with Zapdos and Thunderbolt and end the game. So, I mean, this really is just going through the motions. Posse being a gentleman and not conceding, I don't know if that's for my sake or Marco's sake, or he's just not someone who concedes as in general, but this game is all but over. Like I said, we're really, truly just going through the motions. I don't know if it's Marco who is being a jerkwad and not wanting to move this along. I mean, by Posse saying just attack me, man, I think that's him saying, dude, I'm not going to recover. Just come on, let's go. And yes, he is not even bothering recovering. He goes refresh, and Surf is going to be the knockout. So it is going to be Marco P, the first ever champion of Callous Fight Night, defeating fan favorite Posse G, who was the highest vote getter in order to get into this match. Marco, of course, the second highest vote getter in order to be in this match as well. So now, live on stream here, even though I don't know if you're going to be able to actually see it because of the camera angle, but bear with me. I am going to draw the next challenger. So, let's just go down here real quick. So this is our pool, right? We've got Zokaru, Zomog, Sadly Cius, Astrobatitos, Tekwas, Dexa, Samuel Best, and Coco, which is Helpona. Ignore the numbers for now. Those are going to go up in future weeks, but because this is the first week, these guys only have one entry. What I'm going to do is whoever doesn't get picked, they're going to get a second entry for the future. And then, yeah, I mean, if a new person steps into the pool, they're obviously just going to start with the one entry. But don't worry about that for now. In the meantime, we're going to randomly draw among these guys to see who's going to fight Marco P next week. So, we're going to do a 1 through 8 draw since there's 8 guys. Zokaru is going to be 1, Zomog is going to be 2, Sadly is going to be 3, and so forth. So let's just go over to random.org here. And of course, you guys cannot see it. It is on the other side of the screen. Let me see real quick if I can find one that you can see. Random number generator, something other than random.org. Okay, that works. That's fair. We'll just use this then. All right, so we got 1 through 8 based on this, and we're going to find out. 1 through 8, generate. Oh, I don't know if it generated 2 the first time or not. Shit, that sucks, because it started by default on 2. All right, that's gay. So, how do I delete this? Because it starts on 1, which is dumb. Alright, I have a way around this. There, alright. There we go. That's the way to fix it. Now, 1 through 8. Whatever it clicks on this very first click is going to be the one. Generate. Number 7. And that is Samuel Best. So it is going to be Sam Best next week fighting Marcop for Callous Fight Night. Stay tuned for that, and if you guys want to get involved with this and get into the challenger pool for your shot to fight the champ, let me know, and I'll add you to the pool. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week where it'll be Sam Best against Marcop in Callous Fight Night.